Good.
Unsyndicated presents Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian.
You know what's interesting?
What is
can't stand he's Shep, I'm Sean. I can't stand the overstatement stuff. Can't stand it. Drives me out of this is the greatest we've ever seen. That's the greatest we've ever seen. Blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. My pal Matt Shepard said in a group text yesterday, if Michigan wins tonight, we have to have that conversation. And Shep, I couldn't agree with you more. I wasn't old enough to remember the 76 Indiana Hoosiers. I don't remember. That was, yes, I'm ancient, but I'm not that ancient, okay? I will say to my dying breath that 91 UNLV threw that game to Duke. I will say it to my dying breath. I have an open invite for Anderson Hunt to come out with a tell-all book and explain that they threw that to Duke in 91. I believe it with Here's the funny part. I really, truly do believe that, Shep. But anyway.
Did you see what Larry Johnson said the other day? Larry Johnson said it still haunts him to this day.
Oh, it should.
Yeah.
It should. That team was a machine.
Yeah.
So many other great teams in there. Mm-hmm. I think you have to throw Michigan up there in regards to greatest teams that we've ever seen. And I'm serious.
Well, in fairness, and I appreciate that, but I said Big Ten teams. I didn't say all-time teams.
Okay.
I said Big Ten teams. If they win tonight, they'll be the best Michigan team of all time. Because in 89, which is that team now, they finished third in the Big Ten. Indiana, then Illinois, and then Michigan. Okay. So obviously everybody's measured against the 32-0 Indiana team that beat Michigan in the national championship game. Tough to beat, but when Scott May, Kent Benson won it in a different way. I think that's fair to say. This team is, you're right. I mean, it's a machine. So obviously for us, you and I would guess, 79 Spartans, phenomenal team.
Unbelievable.
Struggled during the Big Ten season. Or I shouldn't say that. Inconsistent during the Big Ten season. Okay. Beat everybody in the NCAA tournament by at least 11 points. So that was different. And then the 2000 Michigan State team. So that's kind of what we're looking at. I think that's who you measure. I don't know about the 64 Ohio State. I don't know, Sean.
Sure.
I would say this Michigan team is better than the Isaiah Thomas-led Indiana team. Okay.
They were.
I'm not trying not to go in the way back machine. I can only speak to recent Big Ten, let's say let's do the last 40 to 50 years. I think this team, if depending on how they win, I think they're in it. I think that's the team. And it's amazing what they've been able to do.
Shep, it really is, and it's got to be kind of strange for you. Correct me if I'm wrong. You were part of two teams that went to the final, correct? You were on two of those. You were on the broadcast on two of those teams, right?
2013, the loss to Louisville by 6. It was a clean block by Trey Burke.
Yes, it was.
And the 2018 blowout loss to Villanova, who was clearly better. It's probably one of the few times after John Beilein got his team moving. Okay, not early on, but once he got his guys in there and started moving it, it's probably one of the. I was very fortunate because I was in a lot of the film sessions. It's one of the few times where I left the room and I looked at Terry Mills. I go, they're not winning this game. Right. Villanova's that good. That was Brunson and that was DiVincenzo. Yep. And so, and look, it's not that Michigan wasn't good. They were good. But that Villanova team had something extra. This UConn team, Sean, is good. It's really good.
Yeah.
Are they Michigan good? At least for one night. That's all it has to happen, right? I mean, it's the Herb Brooks thing. I mean, Herb Brooks says 9 out of 10, they probably win, but not tonight, right? Can UConn do it for one night and 40 minutes? Maybe 20 minutes. 40 minutes is going to be tough, I think.
Yeah. Shep, it's amazing because you and I in our lifetime, we can speak to this. We had a front row seat for UConn becoming a college powerhouse. I mean, we really did, first with Calhoun, and then, I mean, even the Ollie thing. I mean, it's crazy when you think about it. I mean, they even found a way to win during that. And obviously with a crazy person as their head coach in Hurley. And he is a crazy person. I mean, I think he would
sure
probably
acts like one. He sure acts like one.
He would be the first one to admit it. So, you have to say to yourself, look, Michigan's the favorite. I think there's a reason why. What is it, between 6.5, 7.5 I've seen for people that pay attention to that stuff. But there's that little bit of been there, done that with UConn. There's that, okay, I don't know, mystique. And obviously a program that's been there 3 of the last 4 years, Shep. There's something to be said for that. With all that being said, Michigan's just a better basketball team. And I think we all kind of knew months ago, and I know you and I talked about it, this could be a very special year, and I think it culminates tonight. I really do.
Well, so I don't disagree with anything you said, but let me ask you this. Why is it when the Pistons play in the postseason this year, everyone's going to say, you have to prove it to me because you haven't done it?
Right.
But when we watch UConn, and the proof is in their pudding, you just gave the numbers for Dan Hurley and Alex Caravan and others who have been in this situation. Why is that not enough to convince us that this team is just as dangerous as the Michigan team, who hasn't necessarily been in this situation, unless you want to count Elliot Cadeau with North Carolina, or a guy like Adari Mara for UCLA, but he didn't really play. So I don't know, man. I think we pick and choose. Maybe it's because the Pistons would be in a series, not in one game. So I have too much respect for a team like UConn that has been there, done that, battle tested, and gone through the gauntlet. Look, when you and I first looked at these regions, what did we both say? The East was the most challenging region. Duke is the 1. You had UConn as the 2. Michigan State is the 3. You had Kansas as the 4. St. John's as a 5. Louisville is a 6. Okay? That's a pretty tough top 6. Nobody could touch it. And yet this is the team that went through it. This team just beat the biggest team in the country in Illinois. This team has proven that it can win national championships and in the NCAA tournament. And as a historical program, they're 6-0 all time in the championship game. Michigan's 1-6, the one win when they were favorites back in 1989, and they're favorites tonight. So I think there's a lot of historical significance associated with the Huskies. I still think Michigan is the better team, like you said. I think they win by double digits. I think I picked 83-70 earlier today on the Braylon Edwards show. But I think it's pretty interesting how people are quick to dismiss UConn and then turn around and say, well, other teams have to prove it to me.
I can't believe you said that, because I legitimately told I was talking to Maz and KG on Woodward today, and I said 14-point win, book it. And I think I said 85-71, something like that.
We're pretty close.
So, I mean, Shep, listen, at the end of the day, I don't care how it happens. If you're Michigan, I mean, they had the close call, obviously, in 2013. I mean, as you mentioned, we all know how that worked itself out. And then,
Michigan. I thought Michigan was the better. Sean, I know people shake their heads, or you're being a homer. Okay, you can say that. I thought Michigan was the better team that day. When you had that talent on the floor with Burke and Hardaway and Glenn Robinson Jr. and Karis LeVert coming off the bench, and Nick Stauskas, an eventual Big Ten Player of the Year, and some of and Mitch McGary, who was a first-round draft pick in the NBA, I thought Michigan was the better team. I thought, Burke struggled a little bit from the beginning, but that defensive play, I thought, really changed the momentum, because that would have given Michigan the ball down 2, I believe. Maybe it was 4, but I think it was down 2. Instead, they put Peyton Siva, who was a second-round pick, I believe, for the Pistons, at the free throw line. Or no, they called it. I'm sorry, they called it. Did they call it goaltending? No, they called a foul on it. Yeah, that's right.
You have no reason to remember this. I was watching that at a bar in the Bahamas. Like, true story. Like, I was watching that national championship game in a bar.
Do you remember what you said at the time? Besides, I'll do this again.
I probably screamed "Go Green" 80 times, because I was inebriated. I can tell you that there's no way I was under 85 proof. No chance. No chance.
I
So
probably yelled green.
I can't tell you for sure that I did, but I was inebriated.
All right,
So, I mean,
as a Spartan fan, what are you looking forward to or rooting for tonight? Are you? I talked with somebody in our group there at Woodward Sports earlier today. They were wearing their Spartan 3/4 zip, and they said, or quarter zip, and they said, "Yeah, I'm rooting for UConn."
of course. You know what it is, Shep? You don't want to hear the chirps from everybody else. That's the biggest thing.
Mhm.
You don't want to. I like seriously. I hope that people. I don't chirp at others. You know, you celebrate a win. I don't chirp at others.
Mhm.
So I don't know. You would hope that that same respect would come back your way, but it doesn't. And you know how it works out.
Mhm.
But
Yep.
honestly, the older I get, I'm kind of like Killer now. And Killer and I always used to have arguments. Killer always used to say, dude, the fan in me's dead. And I was like, never.
Never.
Like you can't, never. And we used to have like huge arguments about that.
Can't help it.
But I'll put it to you this way, Shep. It doesn't bother me like it did before. Does that
Sure.
make sense? It doesn't.
Yeah.
I won't lose a second sleep if Michigan wins the championship. Well, I should say when Michigan wins the championship tonight. I won't lose a second sleep.
What if they win? What if they win Michigan basketball or men's basketball and hockey? What if they do that?
I might go back to being 95 to 100 proof. I might at that point in time, if that rolls around on Saturday.
Yeah,
I might. Well, the funny thing is, I mean, here's the crazy thing about it, Shep. You know the routine in college hockey. You have a couple guys that might go immediately. I mean, there's talk that Michael Haig is going to join the Habs like that, like that. You know, so will it happen? I don't know. And TJ Hughes is a guy that
a lot of teams want him. Yeah. Max Plant.
So I'm not saying those words, Jason, and I'm not saying those words. That's where I draw the line, Shep. Gold color that rhymes with glue. That's never coming out of my mouth.
It's just, why would you?
No.
I don't.
Although you know me, I like money. If somebody said I'll send you $1,000, I'll say it 15 times. Are you kidding me? Ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. 15 grand right there.
Poor.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You got it.
Tom brings up a good point. He says Michigan's got a heck of a chance at getting the Natty in hoops and then hockey in a few weeks. Well, the hockey will be this weekend in
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday.
I worry about the Denver game.
Saturday? I thought
Thursday. Yeah, Saturday's a championship. Thursday's Final Four.
Right.
I worry about the
Denver. Michigan against Denver.
That's the one I worry about.
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
Whiskey plays North Dakota?
Yep. Denver's got it's similar to what we were just talking about with UConn. The been there, done that, ho hum. This is a coach that seems to get the most out of his team this time of the year, et cetera, et cetera.
Find a way, don't they? Yeah, they seem to.
Yes. Yep. That's interesting. Got to put Mara on Reed. Hashtag Shauner, go color that rhymes with glue. You're not catching me. I don't know what else to say that. No idea. The wings are done. I'm interested to hear Shep's thoughts on that in a second. What do you mean, Tim? They have 8 games till golf season. Sean, why are you a hater? Yes. We've
listen. I give you a ton of credit. You're not hating. No. There's a difference between being a hater and one who does not embrace.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you're just a guy who's like, you know what? I mean, if it happens, it happens. Mm-hmm. You're not going to sit there and throw your shoe through your big screen TV that takes up your entire family room wall.
Shep, I like that 2013 team. Like that. That Friday night game, wasn't it a Friday night against Kansas? The Trey Burke shot and everything. That, how could you not like watch that team and go, wow, this team is fun? Like they were. It wasn't like I had my pom-poms out or anything, but sometimes you get a team, and this has been a team to me, Shep, all year that you knew. Like this is just been building all year. I mean, they are outstanding in every way. They really are.
Yeah, they beat teams in any which way you possibly could. All right.
Yep.
If you want to play a fast tempo, which is death against Michigan, they will annihilate you. If you want to slow it down, they've proven they can beat you. I would say this. Here's a statistic. I think it's really important that Michigan get over 60 possessions, 60 to 63, 64 possessions. If UConn can keep it low, like similar to maybe what Wisconsin did, similar to what Duke did, and they want to play more of a half-court game, they're going to have to make shots to do that, okay? Because Michigan's going to run off misses, period. That's what they always do, and that's what's going to happen. UConn is going to, and they sure can't get behind early. But Michigan has proven that they can win in so many different ways. The thing that has impressed me, Sean, about Michigan is, well, everybody is focusing on the offense, and I understand why. I think it's their defense. I mean, their defense is a son of a bitch. So when somebody says you got to put Mara on Reed, well, that's fine. Reed has done a nice job of bullying his way, using his strength, using his power, and all those other things. Who else are you going to put Mara on, I suppose? But the thing about that is, I mean, you could put Morris Johnson on Terrace Reed and still, I think, have some success. How much of a factor do you think it is if Axel Lindenborg doesn't play?
I was just reading some stuff like right before we went on, and it doesn't sound great. I think the kid's going to give it a go.
Did you see the way he walked? I mean, the way he's walking is really concerning.
Yes, he's going to give. Is it a concern? Of course it is. I mean, what that kid brings to the table, but Shep, I hate to say this. This is almost a foregone conclusion for me, and I feel guilty saying that about a UConn team, and with Crazy Person as the head coach. I do. The Arizona game, it kind of to draw a comparison, Shep. I think that was the one that a lot of people were going, "Ooh, well, this one might be tough," and we saw how that worked out. And
is there a game this year that made you stand up and deliver? Right? I mean, people talk about the Gonzaga 40-point win. Auburn, they beating Auburn by 30 a couple of days before that in Vegas was something else. I'm not saying I wasn't a believer, because I was. Okay,
right.
I thought for sure it was a Final Four team. But what they did to Arizona is, BTA in the backyard. You're not supposed to do that to number ones. Okay.
Yep.
Now, I think it's the largest margin since UMBC upset Virginia by 20. Okay. But ones against ones, the number 2 overall seed, Arizona against the number 3 overall seed, that was supposed to be a slugfest, tug of war, and the championship game.
Yep.
And they played with them. They could have easily, and I mean, as in toyed with them, they could have easily scored more than they did, the 91.
Yep.
They could have reached Hundo easy if they wanted to.
Yep. And that, like we were just talking about, I mean, I think a lot of people are like me are thinking about this game against Denver as being, okay, well, this might be the pseudo national championship game. And somebody forgot to tell North Dakota that, and certainly Wisconsin, which is kind of flown under the radar all year. And we know how that worked out for Arizona all year. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, that was a statement beyond statement, man. I mean, I was stunned what they did with them. I really was. I picked Arizona at the beginning of the season or beginning of the tournament. I picked Arizona and UConn, and when I settled in, and you saw what Michigan did, I mean, jump them early. That is like jumping fastball, first pitch on starting pitchers on a regular basis and knocking them around and putting all kinds of pressure on. That's what Michigan did to Arizona. And I've never seen anybody. I've watched Arizona a lot this year. They lost 2 games. That's it, Sean. They lost 2 games. They were back-to-back, and they were close games. This is something that, like, you've heard of boxers, when they're getting stunned early in matches, in bouts. That's what it looked like. Michigan throwing that first punch.
It reminds me a little bit of when Flaherty, and it's got to be in small print in his contract, decides like one inning, and you never know which inning he's going to decide. He's putting everybody on base, and you are getting on base. Yeah, I'm going to hit you. I'm going to give up a double here. You know what, man? I'm going to mix in a couple of hits, right?
I'm going to wait till Drew Anderson comes in, and then he can help put out the fire, and then we'll just turn to Bo Brisky again. What's the big deal?
Every gosh, that damn time that guy is on the mound. I'm old man shaking his fist in the cloud.
Yeah, you are, but I think 2 years ago everybody was excited because they traded the Dodgers and said we'll sign him back. Look at what we got. Look at what we got. Where's that shortstop now? I'm just wondering. I haven't seen him.
He's so good. He's so good.
People just love that. They That was one big bowl of Jack Flaherty soup, and it was
yummy, yummy, yummy.
yummy. And I can't wait to watch that shortstop play. But he's not that good. Oh, you watch and see. And then when we get Briseño up, oh man, oh God, it is going to be. Let me get my bib right here. That was
you can't. My pants are off. All you have to do is say Briseño, and my pants just come right off. This is why do you think I sit like this? Nobody, they don't know. You say the B word, my pants just come down around my ankles. Clearly, that guy's going to be a stud.
We've all seen him play. I mean, how can you not? You're watching every minor league game on YouTube, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely.
That's it really is my favorite. My favorite is when people fall in love with minor league players in baseball. You know, I had that debate with somebody. Man, I'm glad we took this guy over this guy. Why is that? Because this guy wasn't very good at this school, but he didn't play for that school. Okay, well, whatever. You're getting semantical. No, I'm not getting semantical because I watched him play for that school. He was unbelievable. He was a Golden Spikes. What's a Golden Spikes? It's the Heisman Trophy of college baseball. Be careful. That's
yeah. Well, dude, you know how I am. I love to watch these AA games with Emily Walden and take small sample sizes and make them scream for the large. That's one of my favorite.
And listen, and every writer in Detroit. Oh, what did Scott say? Oh, I must be the truth.
Gosh, I love when Shep. I swear to God, that's my favorite bit when they do something like, "Hey, checking in down in Erie, Briseño is 3 of his last 5 with 2 doubles and 5 RBI," and people retweet that 10,000 times. And I always say to people, you know what's interesting? Google is your friend. You can look up how the rest of his numbers look, you know? Yeah. But you take that small sample size and then you put that stuff out there and it's nothing but yummy goodness for everybody. Oh, it's gross. Jeez.
Although Max Clark is off to a really good start at Toledo.
Yes. Yes.
Which I'm really happy about. And I think I told you this story. When Detroit drafted, I wanted Wyatt Langford. Okay. Wyatt Langford was a really good player at Florida. Dude could hit for power, hit for average, got on base, good player. And a buddy of mine is a scout. And he said, Shep, you're going to like Max Clark. I said, I wanted Langford. I feel like similar to where it was Marcelo Mayer or Jordan Lawler, okay, where Detroit needed a shortstop. He said, trust me, you're going to love this kid. He plays with an attitude. He's got speed. He's not a 5-tool guy, but he's a 4-tool guy. You're going to end up liking him. I said, is he better than Langford? He goes, I think in the long run, he'll end up being better than Langford. I'm still waiting for that. I trust my buddy because I think he's really good at what he does. But we'll have to wait and see because Langford's been a pretty good player so far.
I'm so glad Jason brought this up. And Shep, you don't have to say a damn word here, okay? Jason said Shauner got to see his hero throughout the first pitch of the home opener. And I can't help but think, Shep, throwing the first pitch out for your Red Sox. Please give a Red Sox welcome to Jim Rice, okay?
Yeah.
Bernie Williams in New York. George Brett in Kansas City. Brandon Inge in Detroit. Why? Why?
Because they don't do things the right way. That's why. Look, I think I've told you the story. I'm in Boston. I'm waiting for the media elevator. Who hops in? Wade Boggs. And I said, hey, Wade, introduced myself. I said, really enjoyed watching you play. And he's like, thanks a lot. I said, what are you doing here tonight? And he said, they're honoring me. I'm just, they acknowledge me. They put me up in a hotel for the weekend and they acknowledge me on the weekend. And I say, thank you to everybody. And that's it. And I said, man, that's a great idea. I literally texted the Tigers to suggest the same thing, that we do that at the time, because it was do that to some of the all-time greats in Tigers history over the years, whatever. Okay. Or just important guys, right? So it's incredible to me. Let's just get a local guy because he's in Ann Arbor. So let's just bring him on in, It would have meant so much to have a guy like Cecil Fielder, The same fan base, if you recall, was pissed off at Kirk Gibson for throwing out the first pitch in Los Angeles the year before wearing a Dodgers uniform, even though he hit one of the most memorable, you could say Bill Mazeroski, the most memorable home run in World Series history. Joe Carter could be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still,
That's
it's
the only
one
other
of them.
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's one.
No question. No doubt about it.
And all people complained about to you and I was, how could Gibby do that in a Dodgers uniform against the Tigers? A, he did play for the Dodgers. B, they honor him more than Detroit does. And C, they asked. Is it that hard? He's one of their heroes. Okay. And that was fresh off a World Series win. So, yeah, pretty cool. And then now this fan base is going to complain about Brandon Inge. You've got plenty of guys who have World Series rings and guys who have incredible history with this city that you could have chosen. That's who they are right now. But it's not, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's not like Jason, it's not like John, it's not like Tom. Any of them's going to go, you know what, this organization, I can't believe they do what they do. It doesn't matter. If they win, it's fine. So he goes.
I think the Red Wings are running out of that. And Shep, you and I, this was after
they're completely out of it, bud.
Yeah, well, I think they're running out of some of the public grace as well. It's Elliot Friedman is not one to throw things against the wall. Okay, I have a lot of respect for Elliot Friedman, and
same.
I don't remember what day it was. It was after you and I talked, and Elliot Friedman came out in his 32 Thoughts mailbag and said, he's hearing that Steve is under some pressure, and if they don't make the playoffs, they may eject him and kick him upstairs. And there's two things that come into mind. And he mentioned both Horkoff and Draper. There's two things that come to mind. I don't think it'll ever get to that. I don't. I really, truly don't. That's A. And B, let's say they suggested Christopher himself comes down and says, Steve, I love you like a brother. We've known each other forever. Why don't you we're going to add executive vice president, player personnel, whatever title you want. I really don't think Steve's ego would allow him to do that and to say, all right, well, I'll head everything else, but Sean Horkoff is our general manager. But Matt, the one thing that I can definitively say, and I, all weekend long, especially after the game yesterday, I was looking at comments on the Woodward thread, and it was so funny because I get it. He's one of the most iconic.
It's not hyperbolic at all on that thread. So
no,
to look at.
Yeah, well, he's one of the most iconic players we'll ever see in our lifetime. Okay,
for sure.
We literally grew up with the guy. There's no other way to say that. Okay,
might be the best player in any sport that we've watched.
100%.
Barry, Calvin, him, right?
It is amazing to me how people are trying to somehow blame this on the roster that he put together, are trying to blame this on the second handpicked coach that he selected. When again, and you and I have talked about this, the same things have been said by three coaches in a row. The same things have happened multiple marches in a row. Mm-hmm. How the buck doesn't come back to him is mind-boggling to me at this point in time. But I think there's still a lot of people in this town that they just can't bring themselves to say it isn't working right now for Steve Yzerman. They still can't bring themselves to say it.
I can't figure that out. I can't figure it out because they said it about Trammell as a manager. They said it about Dumars as executive. And Dumars had a lot more success in Detroit than Steve Yzerman ever has so far. And, oh, by the way, the Tampa team that he, quote-unquote, built, they're still firing all cylinders. And a lot of the guys that he picked, they're not all there, okay? It's not like he was the magic sauce associated with the Tampa Bay Lightning, okay? I have never been around a team or seen a team, I should say, because I'm not around them, seen a team where a coach has had to prod his players at the professional level like Todd McClellan has.
Mm-hmm.
That is, it's just unacceptable. The other thing that blows my mind is that Steve Yzerman is one of the greatest champions this town has ever had. He's one of the greatest Red Wings of all time. Some would say number 2. I would say probably number 3, because I put Lidstrom right behind Gordie Howe. He knows what it takes to win. He played with guys who had maybe not the most talent, but sure as hell had the edge that is needed, right? And yet he continuously overlooks that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Who is the son of a bitch to play against for the Red Wings? Let me be honest, okay? And not everybody's got to be a 40-goal scorer. I love what Alex DeBrincat brings, okay? Love what Dylan Larkin brings. Like what Lucas Raymond brings. That's fine, okay? Patrick King's just a one-trick pony. That's it. He just plays offense. That's all he does. Okay, he's James Harden. Who's the guy I don't want to have a shift against that guy? Seriously.
Shep, I couldn't listen. I have said
this.
Fearful of. Shep, I want to go back to something you said a couple minutes ago to emphasize that point. Number one, I think it's unfair to use Tampa as a true barometer because he inherited a not ready for primetime Hedman and a not ready for primetime Stamkos, okay?
Right.
And I give him credit for laying the seeds. And Vasilevsky obviously was a great get. He's still one of the best goalies. Kucherov was an amazing steal, okay?
Unreal. Yeah.
But I don't want to take anything away from Julian Brisebois as well, because the guy that you were just talking about that did that for that Tampa team was the big rig. It was, what were people saying about Tampa? They were soft.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound familiar? People saying that about the Red Wings. People were saying that about Tampa. They were soft.
Right here. Michael says the Wings lack toughness and edge. He's 100% right.
100% right.
One player on a regular basis. I'm not saying every once in a while you'll see a little bit of an edge from a Perron, a little bit of an edge from a Comfer, okay? But on a regular basis, you need somebody who, and they don't have to be, like I said, a 40-goal scorer. It would be nice to have somebody out there who's tough to play against. And they don't have that guy. They just don't.
I think getting the big rig, Pat Maroon, was huge, okay? And that was a big part of them when they started winning Stanley Cups. You know what? And so I give Brisebois credit for that. Listen, I don't want to go as far as say this reminds me of the Al Avila era, but we've heard about all these mythical creatures, these wait till you see this guy, wait until we see this guy. And how many of these guys have legitimately made you go, wow?
Nobody.
I like Mo Sider a lot. I like Mo Sider a lot, Shep. And that
I know you do.
But yeah. I don't go, wow. I think Mo Sider is a really good defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
And the ASPs and remember Elmer got called up a couple of years ago. Soderblom. How are you gonna do against a guy that has that reach? There's been a lot of chatter, kind of like the Al Avila era, and I know you had a front row seat for that.
Yeah, the people are all excited about Emmett Finney, and look at where he was drafted. You know, you can't touch Marco Kasper, who was 8th overall as a first-round draft pick, and people are like, well, we missed out. I mean, who did we get? We don't even know, but you couldn't touch him last year. People would not touch him. I think this team, I don't want to be hyperbolic here, but obviously it's not working the way he's putting it together. Make a massive deal. Like, if you think that Austin Matthews is going to get traded from Toronto, see what they would want. If you think Brady Tkachuk is going to get traded from Ottawa, see what they would want. And don't be afraid. Now, in fairness to him, he wasn't afraid. He gave up a first-round pick for Justin Falk. I give him credit for that. The David Perron thing was unmoving for me. Sorry. But you've got to bring something to the table. Now, the problem is Austin Matthews is, I don't think anyone would consider him a great defensive player at the center position. He plays 200 feet, but it's not like he's Sidney Crosby. And I don't even think he's Dylan Larkin defensively, but he's better than Dylan Larkin offensively, right? You've got to do something. I mean, I'm sorry. The whole, we're going to hold on to the young guys, and we're going to hold on to the draft picks and see how they mesh together, because it's going to take them some time. You know that. You know that better than I do. It's going to take them time. Well, guess what? Here's what everybody else is going. How much time? Because I'm running out of time, right?
Yep. And Shep, here's a lot of times it doesn't take a crazy move. It really doesn't. A lot of times it's.
What would it take?
You know what? This will come as a shocker to you. You use the Habs as an example. Mm-hmm. You know what the Habs did? We're going to give Dobish the chance. Forget this Quebecois goaltender. We're going to give Dobish the chance because he's played better. And they went out and got Philip Deneau. And hand in glove, Ship. You know what? He can go win a draw. He's that steadying force on a fourth line. And their fortunes have skyrocketed just with 2 moves like that. I mean, and that's, but there's a backbone there. And I think what this team lacks, and we've seen it years in a row, is a backbone. I mean, it really does. They lack a backbone. There's no other way to say that.
Yeah. How many? I hate to single out one specific player. It's not fair. Okay.
Mhm.
How long do you have to wait for Michael Rasmussen, the big guy who doesn't play with an edge and does not produce? How is he still on this team when you are protecting so many young guys at Grand Rapids who's clinched the number 1 seed? Go get one of those and bring them up and see what happens. Have Rasmussen dress in a black suit for the next 5 games.
Yep.
Is it that difficult? I don't. Why is that a hard decision to make? How many times do you have to see this guy come away with maybe 1 shot on net and a -1 for the last month and a half?
Well, and the crazy thing about it is, you know how it is, like Veleno, okay?
Oh, God.
I like Veleno, if you think he brings anything to the table, you're nuts. I mean, he's at best he's a 4th line player.
Right.
And he was never going to be a 4th line player here. Because he was drafted to be something else.
Correct.
Sure, pay him nothing, put him on your 4th line, go be a whirling dervish out there and hit everything that moves.
Mm-hmm.
But there just isn't a lot of talent there. And so I think with some of these guys, Shep, when I hear people say, well, everybody needs a Rasmussen or everybody needs a Veleno, I sit back and go, you don't waste a 1st-round effing pick on it.
No.
Right? Yeah, sure, I'll take a guy like that if he's going to play 200, he's going to throw the body around, but you don't use a 1st-round pick on that guy. And I think that's the crazy thing about it, you know?
Yeah, they need something. They need something who is similar to like I'll give you an example. I'm not saying I don't know what his situation is. I always liked Jamie Benn. Always liked him. Okay.
Mhm.
Jamie Benn played with an edge and a force, and he was tough to play against, and he actually could score. They need to find a player similar to that. I don't know how old he is, 36, 37. I wouldn't do that at this stage, but I would get somebody who plays like that, if it makes sense.
Jason, I like your question. He said, where do you rank Seider amongst current defensemen? I have no problem saying top 10, none. But I say it with a caveat, okay? If you're one of those slapdicks that think that Mo Seider's going to win a Norris Trophy, it's not going to happen. That's not his skill set, right? You know that people like shiny things. They want the guy that's going to put up 20 goals. They want the guy that's going to put up 80 points. Quinn Hughes, Werenski, Hudson, Cale Makar. But that doesn't mean that diminishes the role of a guy like Mo Seider or a guy like Chris Pronger back in the day, Shep. They're not going to go win a Norris Trophy, but I'm not going to throw the guy out because he's not going to win. I really like Mo Seider.
Okay,
I think he's one guy that I'd be really excited about if I was a Red Wing fan.
Okay, I like him too. Here's the problem. The problem is that it's believed that Quinn Hughes wanted to be here, and Detroit chose not to do it because they couldn't get the extra year. Okay. At the time I said, I get it. How much better? He's one of the few guys who can stay with any forward in the league. How much better would your team be with him, but giving up a package of guys who are currently playing for Grand Rapids and maybe Soderblom, maybe that. Okay.
Yeah.
So they probably wanted a D back. So they got him. They would get your Soderblom, and you're going to say, sorry, that doesn't make any sense because he's not going to be signed past next year. How about this? How about put a team around him next year where it makes it even more difficult for him to leave next year?
Yeah.
You're willing to pay $8.5 million for Seider, $8.5 million for Lucas Raymond, but you're going to say no to the second best, and some would argue the best defenseman in the world? That makes no sense to me whatsoever.
It makes sense. Not at all. All right, we got to get out of here. This game's going to start. So you said Michigan by what? Double digits as well?
13, 83-7.
Yeah, I said 14. Yeah. So congratulations. How about Parker Kelly putting up 20 goals for the Avs while making league minimum? That's the crap you got to get. I'm sorry. You got to. That was part of Steve's success. So he went and got Kucherov where he got him. He turned into one of the best players in the league.
Well, wait a minute. So last thought. What about the scouting? situation. I mean, Chris Draper's in charge of scouting, right?
That's why I think if there was to be a move, I think it might be Sean Horkoff. Just a thought, just one man's thought. I think it would be Sean Horkoff. How about Anthony Mantha? He's a 30-30 guy in Pittsburgh.
I was just about to say that. It's
unbelievable.
It really is. I mean, there's something in the water. Something in the water. Okay, brother.
Right. Enjoy the game tonight, right. You Michigan fans. Enjoy it. Take it all in, all that stuff. And Shep, make sure you check out Shep in the morning, and of course with Braylon Edwards as well on Woodward. All right. See you, Shep. Enjoy the game.
All right, pal. See you.
God bless you. Bye-bye. No, I got to hit this now. Bye.
Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian. Executive produced by Sean Baligian and Todd Losey. Theme song, incidental music, and related sound effects are from Still Alive by Anti-Ghost. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.